It's Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
He said. .06 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It's a Friday, and by God, you made it. And Jim, I am surprised every time we get to a Friday that you're still here.
Today's show is sponsored by Firefly Energy Drinks, made with real fireflies. It burns so good.
Yeah, sometimes you just need that because, you know, it wakes you up.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco.
We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave. Usually on a Saturday, I like to get you started on something just a little bit different, just because you've been through a whole week. So let's try. First off, yeah, maybe this one's not the best story, but I'll just get it out of the way. Yesterday, near the end of the program, I started talking about something that the Wyoming Republican Party is doing within the party. Someone offered up an idea, which they called it to it. Okay, hang on. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to call up the sound effect, or it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There's a certain name that even to this day, when I mention it, heads explode. So this idea within the Republican Party was called the Liz Cheney Amendment. Sorry about that, but okay. Here's how this went. Anyone who really does not reflect the party should be kicked out of the party. That was the idea. It would be the Republicans are having their conventions and so on in Wyoming and get together for meetings, and this was one of the resolutions offered up. So first off, what happens if we have certain politicians in elected office, wherever they might be in Wyoming? And you could say, well, the governor, sure, if you want to name him, and certain members of the House and Senate, and obviously they're in the wrong party. The only reason they have an R by their name is because they realized in order to get elected, they needed to put an R by their name. But once they get into office, when you look at how they vote and the kinds of bills they bring forward even, and other things that they say and do, why are they in the Republican Party? And so the idea was they would have their Republican card cut up, and sorry, you're not a Republican, obviously. You don't represent our values. Governor Gordon has been censured by the entire Republican Party in Wyoming, but also censored by individual smaller parties in certain counties as well, over different issues. So some people would say, well, get him out. But then it was the idea of what about those people who like to go hopping parties? What about we get around a primary time in Wyoming, and there's those Democrats who will jump to the Republican Party, vote, and jump back. Now, my answer has always been, what are you doing messing in the Republicans' convention? I mean, you should. Some Democrats have made the argument that, look, I live in a county where there aren't any Democrats running for anything. That means that the real election is held during the primary. So if I want to vote, I'm going to have to be a Republican for a day and vote in the primary. And then they go back to Democrat. My answer is, if your Democrat Party failed to show up and run any candidates, that's not the Republicans' fault. So under this proposal, people who have been caught hopping parties back and forth, jumping the fence on primary day, would not be allowed to do so anymore. If they try to, the Republican Party can say, sorry, you can't do that. We're not going to let you in. You've been caught doing this before. You're a Democrat the rest of the year. You donate to Democrat Party ideas. You donate money and time to the Democrat Party. We're not going to let you in. All right. That's what I was talking about yesterday. It's been rejected. Cowboy State Daily. After about 8 hours of discussion and debate on Thursday, the Wyoming Republican Committee rejected a proposal by law changing the nickname of the... Okay, here we go. The Liz Cheney law. I'm sorry to mention. Or the Liz Cheney amendment that would have given the party expansive powers to remove members that essentially they didn't like, but I would say didn't represent their party. If we could do this on a national scale, I would have thrown Mitt Romney out a long time ago. He's not a Republican. Although dozens of amendments and changes were made to the rules over the course of the opening day of the GOP convention at the Little American Cheyenne, it was all for naught, as the Bylaws Committee rejected a proposal by a relatively wide margin. Park County GOP Chairman Vince Veneta supported the changes and was disappointed it didn't go through. He said, now I know how this legislation in the 2024 session feels, he remarked. Let's see, a lot of people came in with an open mind, and that gives the feel it was defeated immediately after that, though. Okay. I would like to see that come back at some point, because my whole idea here is, are you in the right party for the right reasons? Don't go meddling in some other party's affairs. So there are plenty of people, just to pick the Wyoming House and Senate. Well, you can even pick mayors of different towns, people on city council. They know if they want to get elected, they have to put an R by their name. But again, once they get into office, when you see what they do, what they vote for, the bills they propose, the ordinances they propose, how they vote, you can look at them and say, well, obviously you're not in the right place. And you do not have a right to join any political party. Every party wants to be a big tent, and anybody can come in, is what they say. We welcome all. The fact of the matter is these are private parties. All of them. These are private organizations, and nobody has the right to join. And so if they want to reject you, they can reject you. Completely up to the party to decide that. So I'm not at all opposed to the idea, one last time, of the Cheney Amendment. By the way, yes, it was inspired by her. Because as soon as Cheney no longer represented the Republican Party in the state of Wyoming, the Republican Party wanted to get rid of her. And so she even ran as a Republican for representative of the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. Even though she had been censured by the entire Republican Party in Wyoming, she still ran as a Republican. Imagine if the party had been able just to cut up her Republican card and say, no, you can't run as a Republican because you don't represent Republican values. And for that matter, since the Republican Party of Wyoming had done the same thing to Governor Gordon, imagine if they had been able to say, no, I'm sorry, Governor Gordon cannot run as a Republican, and because he obviously does not represent Republican values. See, I'm not opposed to this idea at all, but it was shot down immediately. Hopefully someone brings it back up. I mean, you're going to make... I already put it away. Big Wave is in Casper there. I already brought it up. I'll go ahead and close it down there. One more time. Okay, I called it up. It's queued. It's ready to go. So Big Wave in Casper says, it should be named the Liz Cheney bill. She was, or shouldn't be. She was more conservative. Now, I will say this. Let me read that correctly. It should not be. He said shouldn't be named the Liz Cheney bill because she was more conservative than most. She was absolutely a conservative. She just picked a fight with the wrong guy. Now, you and I agree on that. One of the things that's true about Liz Cheney is she is, at the time, was one of the most conservative members of the House of Representatives in the history of conservative people in the House of Representatives. And she did a lot of good for Wyoming. She really did. It's when she became anti-Trump. She kept her conservative values. Some people ask, why didn't she just join the Democrat Party? Because they wouldn't have her. She's too conservative. Okay. But at the same time, she doesn't like Donald Trump. and thinks that she's just poison for the Trump is, she thinks, is poison for the Republican Party. Still, though, when she started going after Trump, in a state that voted so heavily for him, that's when the Republican Party of Wyoming said, hey, Liz, you're not representing our values here. And if they could have, they would have rolled her right out of the party. All right. Jim and Casper, it didn't pass because half of the people in the Republican Party are RINOs. Hell, they'd have to kick themselves out. Red and Casper, diversity of opinion is vital for intellectual debate and good decisions. Liz was conservative by a voting record. If they passed that rule, it would be because it would be to shut up others they don't like. Well, and here's, I think, Red, and I think you bring up a good point in this, which is exactly what the standards would be for someone who no longer represents the party. And because I still think it's a good idea, here's someone who obviously is not a Republican. Like when I look at Mitt Romney on the national level, what is Mitt Romney doing in the Republican Party? When you look at his voting record, why is he considered a Republican, a conservative? I wouldn't consider him that. And there's many members of the Wyoming House and Senate that vote in ways and offer up bills that I look at and think, how are you a Republican in the Wyoming House and Senate? Well, they put an R by the name to get in. So what we would have to do, I don't mind a diversity of opinion, but if you want something like this, you would have to set up exactly by what standard, by what rules. And maybe that's why this was shut down, because they couldn't decide by what standard, by what rules. You are a conservative if. You can be a Republican Party member if. And set down various certain guidelines that you will support the following. You know, if they can do that, and that's tough. That's really hard to do. But if they can do that, then maybe they can go ahead and set a standard to say this is what a Republican is. And that would keep a lot of the RINOs out. There's, as you know, there's many members of the Wyoming House and Senate, and even mayors and city council members and county commissions that have an R by their name, but they're really not Republican. I mean, they absolutely are not. So what is the standard that would be set? 618, Wake Up Wyoming.
Take Glenn anywhere with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on AM 1030 K2 Radio.
6:26 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. So to me, this is really an interesting discussion. Real quick, for those just joining me, the Republican Party in Wyoming is having their convention. They suggested an idea that maybe they should be able to kick people out of the party that really just don't reflect Republican values. And I'm in favor of that, actually, in looking at various people that obviously when they get into office, they don't vote the way a Republican would vote. They even, if they're in the House and Senate, they even offer up bills that a Republican wouldn't offer up. Why are you in our party? And so I think it is important to then to define exactly what does Republicans stand for. And one time in North Carolina, it was in Boone, North Carolina, and I was near the college there in Boone. And, of course, it's a college. There's a lot of liberals around it. And someone had a bumper sticker. What are conservatives trying to conserve? And I thought, never ask a question like that thinking there is no answer. Liberty, freedom, limited government, things like that. That's what we're trying to conserve. But really, what does a Republican stand for? And that's where they would have to define their terms, which is, I think, where the Republican Party in Wyoming tripped up and ended up not passing this. Because you got to define your terms on this. To me, Medicaid expansion is not something Republicans should ever vote for. They should always vote no. To me, the idea of spending $10 million of your taxpayer money on building a shooting range in Wyoming is something Republicans should never vote yes for. Because that's government getting involved in what should be the private sector. I did come up with this one definition, see what you think. The position of the Republican parties have evolved over time. Currently, the party's fiscal conservatism includes support for lower taxes, gun rights, government conservatism, free market capitalism, free trade, deregulation of corporations, and restrictions on labor unions. I agree with most of that, but then Republicans don't often vote that way. Especially when it comes to the free market. Republicans, much like Democrats, are constantly meddling in the free market instead of getting out of the way, and like energy in Wyoming. Your current governor and many Republicans across Wyoming say we're for the all-of-the-above approach to energy. If you're really into the free market, then you want government to get out of the energy sector. Let the market decide. Okay? Let the free market decide how we produce our energy, not government. Don't subsidize. Don't give extra tax breaks to some people and not others. Don't tell. In fact, the whole idea that we're telling coal and natural gas companies, you have to be into carbon sequestration. They shouldn't. It's none of their business. Stay out of it. Let companies do what they do to produce energy. Just make sure they're not polluting. CO2 is not a pollutant. Make sure they're not polluting, and make sure that they're not ripping us off. Other than that, they produce energy in whatever way the market demands. That's what a true conservative would do. So, yeah, the Republican Party in Wyoming, in order to pass this, would really have to sit down and define their terms. That's going to be a lengthy discussion. Local news, weather forecast. Wake up, Wyoming.
Sunday. Download the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. Listen anywhere and chat live with Glenn during the show on AM 1030 K2 Radio.
.36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Good news for you, which I usually like to do when we get into a Friday program. Wall Street Journal article. Generation Z, which is the current generation. A lot of people say millennials, right? Millennials are adults now and have kids. So we're past that. Generation Z, according to the Wall Street Journal, is being now referred to as the tool belt generation, because many young people have decided, screw this college thing, and they're actually, well, it just turned out to be so bad. And we've talked about this extensively on the air, but there's been a sharp rise in the number of young people. They're not opposed to the idea of college, but they are opposed to the idea of overly expensive, useless degrees. And that's not going to help them in their future, so they're looking for a way to make a living. And so instead of going the college route, which you have to if you're a doctor, you got to go to college, right? If you want to be a doctor. There's certain things you have to go to college for. But many things not. And if you want a good, solid job, you got to go find a profession. Some kind of a skill. All right, on that note, here's a conversation with one of my all-time broadcast heroes, Mike Rowe.
Nothing in the history of Western civilization has ever become more expensive more quickly than a 4-year degree. Not food, not health, not energy, not real estate, nothing. It is unexampled. And yet, even as the skills gap has widened, even as 10 million positions have just yawned open in this chasm, positions that don't require a 4-year degree but rather training, we have still been telling a whole generation of kids that the best path for the most people is the most expensive path. They're just not buying it anymore. Well, it's math. Every year for the past 15 years, for every 5 tradesmen who retire, 2 replace them. Now, right? You don't have to be a genius to just add that up and realize the exponential weight of that just gets heavier and heavier. I challenge anyone watching this right now to find a construction project going on in their neighborhood. Go talk to the general contractor. He's over budget and he's under time. He's not going to come in on time. And the reason is always the same. It's a paucity of skilled labor. So Gen Z gets it. They get it in South Korea. They get it in Switzerland. They get it in Germany. They put all the options on the table right in front of a 14, 15-year-old kid. They don't take shop class out of high school. They put it there and they say, look, this is a path. It looks a lot like work. But over here, the stigmas and the stereotypes and the myths and the misperceptions that keep kids from even exploring these trades, and the number of guidance counselors who are affirmatively bonused on their ability to get kids onto the college track and not the vocational track. How could college get so expensive? The answer is, how could it not? We freed up a bottomless pile of free money and turned the screws on a whole generation of kids and told them they'd be finished if they didn't take this path. That's starting to get very, very wobbly. And I think this year you're going to see a PR problem in higher ed unlike anything we've seen in our lifetime.
And he said all of this. He was being interviewed on Fox News over this. The conversation was about a 16% rise in the number of young people. That's a pretty good rise. About 16% rise in the number of young people that are heading to trade schools rather than taking the route in college. Now, it's not going to be just good for those kids, but their careers are going to be set in good, solid jobs, real work. And they're not going to be overburdened by a college degree that will never earn them enough money to pay back the degree. You know, whatever money, if they did have to borrow money to go to trade school, they're going to make enough money probably within the first year of work to pay it back. That's usually how it works with trade school. Plus, trade school doesn't have all the woke nonsense. If you show up to be a welder or an electrician or a plumber or whatever the other job might be that you're looking mechanic, whatever it might be, they teach directly to that without all the other garbage that's put into college that just corrupts the minds of young people. I mean, you don't see all sorts of protests going out in front of trade schools. Go to a college and look at all of the kids protesting things. Go to a trade school, and what are they doing? Yeah, they're working. They're just working. They're learning a trade. They're learning a skill. And that's going to translate to the rest of their lives. Good for the country, too. Because, as Mike Rowe pointed out there, it has been every 5 people that retire from a trade, they get too old to work anymore and they retire. Only 2 have been replacing them, and we've got to change that. We have definitely got to change that. So that 16% uptick in the past couple of years is nothing but a good thing. All right. Coming up on some weather with the extended forecast from Don Day for this weekend, which actually is not looking all that bad. Next week is basically rinse and repeat of what we just went through. He'll explain.
Hard work, do it every day. Hard work. I get up about 2:45. Hard work. Got to go and earn my pay. Hard work. Put my boots on and lay.
Got something to say? Call 888-97-WOODS or chat with Glenn on the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app from K2 Radio.
6:48 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to talk to David Settle, who's in for Frank Gambino. So, Dave, you have, I suppose, in your area, your part of the country, as you're driving down the interstate, you go under one of those highway signs from YDOT and...
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Always, yeah.
To me, I have never seen on one of those big signs anything that I needed to know or didn't already know. That's my experience so far. But I do like
very,
it.
Very true. Every once in a while,
yeah.
More often than not, yeah, you kind of know. If you're paying attention,
yeah.
You know what's going on.
Well, I like it when it says, slick roads. I know. I'm driving on it. So, all right. Windy. Gosh, really? Because I'm grabbing into the wind to stay on the highway. Here's one I do like, though. It says just one word. Don't. Whatever you were, that's like your mom, Dave.
Well, I was going to say, is that like a tease on President Biden with his don't thing?
That could be, yeah. But I mean, just think about the times that your mom knew you were up to something, but she didn't know what. Right. So she would just say, don't. Okay. Let me see. They're feeling stuffed. You see, no, that doesn't even. Oh, here we go. The best unopened gift is your airbag. That's a good one.
Oh, yeah. That's
I actually kind of like that one if you're going to put something. I still wouldn't have spent a lot of money on a big sign to say that,
Right.
Hello from the other side, buckle up and stay alive. Oh, hey, that was kind of cute, I guess.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of interesting ones with some of the construction along Interstate 25 down in Fort Collins. I mean, they finally finished some of that up that seemed to be going on for like a decade and a half, but they had some interesting ones. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but
okay.
They were clever enough anyways.
Well, I like it when there's references to a zombie apocalypse and, things like that. Sometimes there's clever jokes on that, but I still wouldn't, I've never seen a message where I thought, gosh, it's worth the price of that sign to put that message up there.
All right. Thank you very much, Glenn. Good morning, everybody. Hopefully your day is going well. Well, the spring season of college rodeo in the Central Rocky Mountain region wraps up here in Laramie this weekend with the JCA Laramie River Rendezvous Rodeo. It's inside the Cliff and Martha Hansen Livestock Teaching Arena, which is a little southwest of Laramie on Highway 230. Starts today, goes through Sunday. The rodeo action with performances both at 6:30 tonight and tomorrow night, and then Sunday at 11 a.m. They've got slack going on. It marks the conclusion of the regular season, the last opportunity for Cowboys and Cowgirls to qualify for next month's College National Finals Rodeo, which will be in Casper, of course, at the Ford Wyoming Center June 9th through the 15th. Right now, the University of Wyoming's in great position because their men lead the Central Rocky Mountain region standings, followed by Gillette College and then Casper College. And Casper College men, they're sitting third right now. If they want to qualify as a team, you have to be one of the top two in the region. To get to the CNFR, Casper College men need a big weekend here in Laramie. On the ladies' side, Gillette is positioned first, followed by the University of Wyoming second, and then LCCC is third. LCCC would need a big weekend this weekend to overtake the Cowgirls. So a lot going on here with college rodeo in Laramie. Spring football practice at the University of Wyoming continues. They're now through 11 sessions. They'll have their 12th practice coming up tomorrow. We're just over a week away from the annual spring game. It won't be in Laramie. Instead, it'll be held because of the construction at War Memorial Stadium over in Cheyenne at East High School's Oakey Blanchard Stadium. And Wyoming head coach Jay Savell continues to talk about how he's pleased with the team and the work that they're getting done in practice right now.
Did a deep ball period today. I think there's some guys that made some plays in that, and that was good to see. Chris Durr made a couple really nice catches. I thought we put some good balls on him. A couple times defense made good plays on those good balls. So it was a good period. Just overall, the team itself, the effort level, the work that we're getting, really, really happy with. We had a couple little bangs here and there.
And there was some bad news from Coach Savella on Thursday. Caleb Robinson, one of the defensive tackles, done for the season, sustained an injury. He'll have to have surgery and will miss the upcoming 2024 college football season. And the Cowboys have their 12th practice session coming up tomorrow. And the spring game is next Saturday, April 27th in Cheyenne at 1 p.m. To the high school scene we go, where a couple track meets today have been already postponed to Monday due to the poor weather. Cheyenne Central Invite will be held in Cheyenne at Central High School on Monday. The Douglas Invitational also postponed to Monday. Green River as well as Pine Bluffs and Shoshone hosting track meets today in the state, while Sheridan and Lovell will host in-state meets tomorrow. And when it comes to girls high school softball, yes, there are some things going on, but Laramie and East got postponed to next Tuesday. Casper School, then on the road. We'll talk more about that coming up next hour, as well as some high school soccer. That's your sports this hour.
So if I think from now on for high school sports, we should just borrow another state. We'll give it.
If we could like dome the state and
sure,
just
that would be good. Yeah,
just somewhat like let the moisture in the mountains, but keep it dry over the city so we could play and be warmer.
In fact, we can go ahead and paint nothing but blue skies up there.
Oh, that'd be nice.
I mean, or a mural would be good. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I do like the natural sun, though.
Yeah, okay. But thank you, Dave. We get into the most useless conversations. But, that's what you expect from us. Wake up, Wyoming. 7:06 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming Friday. Glad you made it. Now, normally I throw out the phone number here. Full disclosure, Miss Mary went away to take some personal time off, and she tried to transfer the phone system over so the calls would go directly to me, unfiltered. Yeah, that didn't work. So I'm sorry I don't have phones today. However, people are still contacting me, which you can do if you have the Wake Up Wyoming app, which is free to download at your app store. Just Wake Up Wyoming. And there's the chat option. So what you can do is just touch chat and send me a text message, and I answer back. So you hit the chat option, you can send me texts, pictures, videos, links, whatever you want to do. And that's how the conversation continues on the program.
Today's show is sponsored by Firefly Energy Drinks, made with real fireflies. It burns so good.
Here I am chatting away, and I had hit the microphone button, but it didn't take. But I had to hit it like 2-3 times before it came on. So you just missed a whole bunch of sentences there. Okay, now it's working. So from Cowboy State Daily, I just love this headline. Fireworks business in southeast Wyoming denied permits because, I'm going to pull it this, hang on. Imagine what, denied permits because they're dangerous? Because they might blow up the whole building? Why would they be not? Because they're obnoxious. Yeah, okay. Here's what the story says. There's nothing subtle about fireworks. They're loud, they're boisterous, well, yeah, that's America for you. By God. So it turns out it's okay to sell products that are, well, it keeps Wyoming busy right there on the Colorado border. And I love that it's on the Colorado border because if you can't get it in Colorado, by God, Wyoming will sell it to you. That's why I want to open up a retail chain on the Colorado border, just like banned in California. This would be banned in Colorado. Anything banned in Colorado, you can buy right here on the Wyoming border. People come up to Wyoming to buy cigarettes all the time. I'm fine with that. We'll take the tax money. All right, so Elliott owns Jurassic Fireworks and Artillery World, I like the name, along Interstate 25, just over the border of Cheyenne. And her father, Mike, is running things during what's been a tough few years for the Elliotts. Business has been good, but it seems fireworks, well, it can be pretty cutthroat. A lot of competition. One of the main gripes for the competitors is how Mike Elliott will stand out in front of his fireworks stand, yelling and waving flags to attract customers. Now, again, I always thought that was kind of silly. That doesn't make me go into a place. When I see someone out in front of their store wearing a silly costume or waving a flag or whatever, that doesn't make me want to pull in. I don't know about you, but I've never pulled in because they were doing that. Well, okay. This week, their ongoing feud. It's one of the main gripes. This week, the ongoing feud with the border firework outlet boiled over when the Elliotts were denied seasonal fireworks permits for their 2 stands by Laramie County commissioners because of their, quote, obnoxious, they use the word obnoxious, tactics and not being good community partners, according to a couple of commissioners. So, is just this opinion or are they doing something? Let's find out. It's the culmination of an effort by competing fireworks stands or stores there to put them out of business and eliminate any sign of competition, according to Mike Elliott, who owns the store. Phantom, this is a quote, Phantom Fireworks has slandered us, telling the building commissioners we're novices, that they're, well, and this is a conversation I had with Cowboy State Daily on Thursday. As for the commissioners, they've had since last July to do something about it if there was any serious problem. He's also said he's already contacted legal representation because he's been denied. This is where they get into this whole thing back and forth. There's a feud going on. There's competition and there's feuding. So according to the story, Elliott's boisterous marketing tactics have led to noise complaints. One of the reasons commissioners cited beyond denying him a permit. Quote, I don't think they have been good community partners. I think last summer they've received complaints from surrounding businesses with bullhorns and obnoxious behavior. So, okay, the guy's trying to create a real carnival atmosphere to get people to come in. And competing stands have just had enough of it. Quote, up until we had this one group, we never had a bit of a problem with fireworks out there. Since we've had this group there, they've had multiple sheriff's calls. They're rude to their neighbors. They aren't the kind of people we like doing business with. Okay. This is a whole lot of drama, isn't it? All right, well, some people like that. What the county commissioners call obnoxious and rude, Elliott calls his First Amendment right to free speech. People may not like what he's saying, or maybe the way that he's saying it, but he's trying to get customers in, right? Cowboys Say Daily reported in 2023 Elliott's unconventional marketing, such as waving flags and calling out potential customers while standing in the Artillery World parking lot with a bullhorn. He said, I'm probably the best competition they hate, he said, claiming Phantom Fireworks jacks up prices to profit off of buy one, get one free promote. Well, in other words, he doesn't like the way Phantom Works runs their pricing, but that's another story. Elliott also claims Phantom employees have spread rumors about Jurassic World. This is where we get into more of this back and forth. Elliott's Jurassic Fireworks location in Missouri and Colorado. In addition to their Wyoming headquarters, they have Artillery World locations in Colorado and New Mexico. That's all right. See, now I'm curious. I haven't, any of you been down there? I have not. Oh, here's Pyro City Fireworks. That's the one with the black cat on the thing. I'm looking at some pictures here. And Colorado-owned fireworks, that's another one here. I'm looking at all the different fireworks companies. Jurassic, 60% off all items. There's the Phantom Fireworks. Okay. I haven't been down there to watch the antics yet, but I look at this and I think, you know, and I'm really not into that drama. If I walk into a room and there's drama going on, I turn around and walk out because I don't want to be part of it. And I've never pulled into a place because someone had a bullhorn and was waving a flag. And again, you've seen some fast food restaurant, some guy has to get up, poor employee, in a costume, which is usually hot in the summertime, and go outside and try to wave down customers. And again, I don't know about you, but to me, that has absolutely never worked. But this guy seems to think that it will. And all right. Just your latest drama on the Colorado-Wyoming border.
So I just went to the grocery store, was going through the meat section, and apparently some of them PETA just came through and put stickers on the meat packages that had the name of the cow and said, this is what my name used to be. Well, I'll still call you by that name. I don't really care, Millie, or whatever your name was, because I plan on eating you and your whole family. So you tell Betsy and Blue I'm coming for their asses, too. They put the wrong sticker on this cow. They should have named her Delicious.
Start your day the right way. Wake up, Wyoming, with Glenn Woods on K2 Radio. Join the conversation at 888-97-WOODS.
7:20 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. I was going to switch topics real quick, but some people are responding to the fireworks story here. So basically, there's a fireworks, and there's some really nice-looking buildings down there on the Colorado border with Wyoming, just below Cheyenne, that sell fireworks. And there's some drama, and my answer to the whole thing is I wouldn't deny anyone a permit because he's, apparently being obnoxious, as long as he's not breaking any real laws in the sense that, is anyone being shot at with fireworks? Anything like that? Anyone being threatened? No, the guy's just spinning signs and waving flags, and he's on a bullhorn trying to get people in, and he's playing music really loud, and okay. And if the other stores don't want to do that, okay, and they can just sort of deal with each other. All right. Sometimes your neighbor's a bit obnoxious. Get over it. As long as nobody's actually doing physical harm to you or your property, then get over it. So I think the guy should get his permit back. Now, Chet and Yoder, if you between fireworks dealers could get hot, yes, and he laughs. So, yeah. Well, I just picture that it gets so hot they start shooting fireworks at each other. Dan and Cheyenne, sign spinners don't encourage me to go to the business either. Also because the sign is spinning, usually I can't read it anyway. Now, I do enjoy watching a creative sign spinner, but the whole point is to get attention so you'll look at the store. Now, I know the way advertising works, that will not get someone to walk into the store immediately, or very rarely does, if ever at all. But they did get you to look at the store. And the purpose of advertising is branding. If you hear the name and you see the business over and over and over again, then when you do want that, you think of them because, well, they got your attention. That's the whole purpose. But it really doesn't, or I should say almost never does, get people to turn and walk in. Oh, wow, look at the sign spinner. I want to go in there. That doesn't tend to really do anything. So, yeah, businesses will do what they can to get your attention, but they need to get your attention in such a way that, and over and over again. So when you finally want that product, for whatever reason you want or need that product, you think of them. And then you head that way. And let me real quick here because I thought about this while I was talking about it, but I didn't play it. Let me go to my Colorado file. There we go. I'm in favor of more retail on the Wyoming border with Colorado. But as you know, I want to open up my banned-in stores, everything that's banned in Colorado. And I want to thank Colorado for giving us more products every single day. Well, I mean, the more that they ban, especially when it comes to guns and fireworks, but cigarettes, stuff like that. Hey there, Colorado. Do you find your state being Californized? Do you find that you're able to buy less and less of the basic fun and necessities of life? Well, don't worry. It's Wyoming to the rescue with a new retail store right on the Colorado border on I-25 just south of Cheyenne. It's banned in Colorado. Want to buy a gas-powered lawnmower or weed whacker? Need a new car but prefer the traditional internal combustion engine? Yes, banned in Colorado has all the products that are either being outpriced, regulated, or no longer for sale inside the Colorado border. And you'll love our low tobacco prices. Feel free to walk around and smoke inside while the little lady buys her fur coat. You'll love our unlimited supply of assault weapons and ammunition. Carry all your goods out of the store in plastic bags. Yes, Band in Colorado has a new location 1 mile north of the Colorado border on I-25. For your personal safety and protection, Band in Colorado is not a gun-free zone. Illegal immigrants on staff help you sneak back across the border with everything you purchase. So I would like to put up a two-sided billboard right there on the Colorado-Wyoming border. So as people are leaving Colorado and going into Wyoming, the billboard says, "Welcome to freedom." Yeah, because this is where freedom and liberty is, right on the Wyoming side. And then as you're driving back from Wyoming and leaving Wyoming and going into Colorado, the other side of the board facing Colorado says, "Now leaving liberty," or something like that. You know. Just to let people know that as you go into Colorado, I almost said California, it's becoming the same thing. As you go into Colorado, you're now losing a lot of your freedoms and liberties. And that's one thing definitely that we have to maintain. I mentioned first hour of the program, years ago I was in the mountains of North Carolina near a very liberal college in the mountains of North Carolina, Boone, North Carolina, Appalachian State University. And someone had a bumper sticker on their car. What are conservatives trying to conserve? And I thought, freedom, liberty, things like that. Limited government. That's what we're trying to conserve, if you ever ask that question. So just so you know, there is an answer to it. Now, one of the things that we need to, there's that website I've told you guys about. I never mention their name because I'm probably the only person that clicks on the website. There's actually a liberal organization in Wyoming. They exist, I know. And once in a while, they post something idiotic on their website. And I like to pick it apart because it's so easy to pick apart what they write. This one is about school choice. I have been fighting for a number of years for Wyoming to get school choice, and we have it now. Now, it's got a long way to go. We need more schools, and that will happen. But here comes the choice and competition. These people at this liberal group, of course, are against it. They want everybody in government schools. You can't make up your own mind, huh? Oh, well, Blue Eyes and Douglas, if you ever want to open that store, I will invest in it. We'll make millions. All right, so they write, again, this group I'll never name them. The Wyoming legislature passed a bill this year to create school voucher program, and in doing so, effectively knocked down the long-standing wall separating church and state. And the answer is no, it doesn't. That's not what that does. If you actually read the Constitution, the purpose of it is government cannot establish an official state religion. Okay, so no, it doesn't knock down the wall between church and state. They write, under the program, parents can receive up to $6,000 per child in public taxpayer money to send their kids to private and religious K through 12 schools or preschools, no matter whether that school employs qualified educators or teachers, that evolution is fake and state religion is supreme and Satan is supreme. Here's the answer to this. And they also say one-size-fits-all policy has been deployed in many states as a dishonest attack on public schools. No, it hasn't. Public schools have been having a major problem. And parents should be allowed to decide what is best for their kids. This is one thing that this website, these liberals here, never understand. If you have kids, those are your kids. It's your choice, not theirs. They write in Wyoming, it's mostly a function of to funnel tax dollars away from traditional public schools, which is true, to nonprofit schools. Amen. Good. And from rural Wyoming communities to the cities for these for-profit outfits. For-profit is not a dirty word. It does not funnel kids away from rural schools or rural communities. That's not true. And for-profit is not a dirty word. For-profit is good. Competition is good. It will also hurt special education students who are already... No, it won't. Special education students will be helped because of private schools and vouchers, more so than they are in public schools. They write, in addition to harming Wyoming students, schools, and communities, the new program is unconstitutional. And no, it's not. The Wyoming Constitution, they say, specifically prohibits the state from spending tax dollars on private or religious entities. If there isn't a constitutional question, we'll certainly fix that, but there really isn't. See, that's why it's easy to pick apart. That website, whose name I never mentioned, there's such low-hanging fruit when it comes to, well, the nonsense they write and picking it apart. That's basically me being lazy on a Friday by reading from them. I mean, I could have done real show prep, but instead I decided just to read their garbage and pick it apart. And it's so easy to do. Coming up on some local news, right after local news update on your weather forecast, a lot's going to change in the weather. A lot. So at 7:45, Don Day joins me, and we have that weekend weather forecast and beyond. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
The best talk show host in the state. Within his priceless. Tune in to Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods. Weekdays at 6.
$7:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. So let's get back to the Wyoming post office situation. The U.S. Postal Service, as I reported on earlier this week, is in big trouble and has been for a while. And they're asking for hundreds of millions more, essentially, is the story, from your federal government to keep afloat. Your postal service is in big trouble. Were it up to me, I would have privatized the postal service a long time ago. And sometimes when I say that, well, the Constitution says, well, then let's change that because this is a mess. Now, because of this, the Postal Service wants to pull out of Casper and Cheyenne. In other words, by the time they get done, it's not that you won't have a post office. There won't be any sorting and distribution done in Wyoming. It'll all be done up in Montana or down in Colorado. All right, so latest here, again, another Cowboys Say Daily story, a new bill moving through Congress aims to prevent the U.S. Postal Service from removing all of its state's big mail processing services. Wyoming's congressional delegation has joined forces to fight back against the Postal Service Delivering for America plan with a bipartisan bill in both the House and Senate that would seek to prevent the U.S. Postal Service from eliminating all of the state's major processing facilities. Well, if they do this, they pass this bill, let's say, then they're going to have to come up with the money to keep those facilities running. And your federal government doesn't have the money. So this is going to be interesting. So the idea would send the bulk of Cheyenne's mail to Denver for processing, the bulk of Casper's to Billings, Montana. And when I say Cheyenne and Casper, of course, that's all sorts of mail from communities in between. So, for example, KC and Buffalo and Gillette and so on. Your mail is going to go all the way up to Billings, get sorted, and come all the way back down. Dan and Cheyenne, those are not volunteer their services to an organization, but receiving compensation for their services, making a profit on their services. Just let's see. Hang on, Dan. I got to go back and see exactly. Those who are not volunteering their services to an organization but receiving compensation for their services, making a profit on their services, just like the organization is making a profit of the goods. I don't know. Okay, Dan, I'll go back and read your message, but I don't have an idea of what you're talking about specifically. I missed something along the way, I guess. So back to the post office. So we will continue to sort inbound mail in Casper, and will not continue to sort inbound mail in Cheyenne, says the Postal Service. We're simply taking out trying to make it more efficient, they say. And a lot of people scratch their heads about, is that actually more efficient, and is that actually more cost effective to move the distribution sorting centers out of state from Wyoming? Answer for me is, I don't know. But if Congress would like to keep open all of these sorting facilities, then Congress is going to have to figure out, first off, you're going to need more money. But also, someone really needs to do an audit of the Postal Service to find out why they're running so inefficiently. And I have no idea what that audit would look like, but let's get someone outside of government, some successful business person or people, right, outside of government, to come in and take a look at how the U.S. Postal Service does things, and then maybe reorganize and revamp the U.S. Postal Service, because what they're doing right now isn't working. I can understand closing down a lot of rural postal facilities. I remember getting angry phone calls from people because you go way out to places like Spotted Horse, Wyoming, and the post office out there, they said, well, we're going to close that down. And people out that way, well, am I going to have to drive all the way to Gillette to get my mail? Yeah, probably. But you got to consider driving mail out to really rural areas like that can get extraordinarily expensive. And so are they actually making enough money to do this? So that's something we have to figure out. So an audit of the postal system, I think, is in order. And again, just throwing money at the U.S. Postal Service obviously isn't working, because every single year they come back asking for more money, a lot more money, in order to keep things going again. Since it is a government-run agency, I never really expected them to run it efficiently. So here's a good chance to, again, audit and try to reset it. But I would prefer to privatize it and let competition. Remember when the phone service was one company, which we called Ma Bell? Remember that? Okay. Well, now look at where we are with telephones. This is better than we ever imagined. What you can do with your phone today, better than we ever imagined. And it's because it was split up and privatized and government got out of the way. This is what competition in the free market looks like when you look at your phones. So let's do that for the mail.
Why are you crying?
Because I don't want to be an adult.
You don't want to be an adult? I cry about that a lot, too. Why don't you want to be an adult?
Because it's not fun. It's going to be no fun. It's like a prison being an adult.
It is like a prison being an adult.
Come on, B. I don't want to be an adult. I don't even want to be a teenager. I just want to be a kid.
Me too. Can I be a kid?
No.
Honestly, he's just happy to be here. Catch Glenn Woods on Wake Up Wyoming. Weekdays at 6 on air, on Alexa, and on the Wake Up Wyoming app.
.45 is the time. Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to talk to Don Day from Day Weather. Don, I look outside right now, and I'm actually not afraid to go outside.
Where are you?
Well, I'm in Casper right now.
Okay. Well, if you were to step outside in Cheyenne, you'd be running into freezing drizzle,
wow,
fog, icy sidewalks.
Okay.
So it's good that you're there.
Yeah, okay. Now, I assume that as we continue on through Friday, it's just going to continue to keep us on our toes.
Yeah, what we're going to see is there's a gradient. The central and northern parts of the state are going to remain cold, pretty chilly, but skies are clearing. Like up north, skies will be sunny, partly cloudy in the central parts of the state. But as you get into that southeast corner, it's just soupy, just like I mentioned. Okay. For folks in Laramie and Cheyenne, fog, freezing drizzle. Later today, tonight, and tomorrow morning, there's going to be a little bit of light snow. So it depends on where you are, really. Big soupiness down south. But once we have another chilly day tomorrow, we are going to salvage the weekend with a nice warming trend on Sunday. Okay. But for today and tomorrow, still going to need a jacket. It's going to be chilly out there.
So I just got a really big screw you from the people in Cheyenne. That's basically what we're saying here. Okay. But now, as we get through Saturday and Sunday, it looks like things just slowly improve and get really nice. That's why you're saying salvage the weekend. Sunday looks pretty good.
It's going to be a nice, Yeah, okay. Sunday's going to be a big improvement. And even though we've got a bit of a front coming through Sunday night and Monday, it won't be a big system. It'll cool us off a little bit to start the week, might bring a few showers. We're still looking at that middle part of the week, Glenn, Tuesday, Wednesday, but especially Wednesday and Thursday. We're going to get into the 60s and 70s. So we just have to kind of suffer through some colder temperatures here for another couple of days. Mm-hmm. This is typical in April, this back and forth to where it can get real warm and real cold. But the good news is we'll go the other direction next week.
Yeah. See, I was thinking at first I could make an analogy like back and forth like a pendulum or up and down like a seesaw. And then I thought, or I could just take a look at the moodiness of a 13-year-old girl. And that's basically the weather.
The latter one probably is your better gauge.
Okay. So next week, though, just be ready for everything, essentially, right?
Yeah, warming up. I do see showers and thunderstorms. There's a sign of the deeper into spring as we get to the second half of next week. So we're looking at late next week and next weekend, bringing the next weather system our way, but it looks more wet than white.
All right. Have a great weekend, Don.
You too.
Don Day from Day Weather. Well, there you go. So today I'm up in Casper, but I know that if I was somewhere else like down south. Well, in fact, let me give you an idea. We'll go over real quick. This is me dialing into David Settle, who's in Laramie. And Dave, what's the weather like where you are?
Overcast and chilly.
Okay. See.
Not as bad as the other side of the mountain, apparently, where Don is.
Okay. And then as we head up to where I am, it's actually just really nice outside right now. Okay. So just don't worry. Everybody's going to get a little bit of suckage. So have you ever, I know we all still do this. You ever struggle with the autocorrect on your phone or when you're trying to write up a story?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I pulled up some good ones. And see, this is a birthday one. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dead husband. Happy birthday to you. And he writes back, thanks. I assume you meant dear. Yes, autocorrect. See this? Can't wait to see you, babe. Hurry up and get here. Woohoo, it's Friday. Screw the gym. I'm getting pregnant tonight. What? No. I wrote, I'm getting Pringles tonight. I don't know what. I'm a gangster. Straight up G, the hamster in life. Stupid autocorrect. The hamster in life. See,
maybe he really wants to be a rodent. I don't know.
I think that autocorrect is artificial intelligence intentionally screwing with us.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Let's see. Babe, I don't feel like cooking tonight. Can you bring me home human beef? So I mean, hey, look, guys. I guess some families are into cannibalism. I guess I don't know there, but now I wonder though, and this has got to have happened. People are trying to write something on social media. Autocorrect happens. They don't catch it, and now they're in trouble with their social media provider.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This is what artificial intelligence. First, they screw with us like this. Next thing you know, some big skeleton, shiny creature is knocking on your door. Yeah, we've all seen the movie, right?
Right, exactly. All right, thanks a lot, Glenn. Good morning, everybody. Hopefully your day is off to a good start. Let's start with some high school soccer action. First off, yesterday, Natrona County swept Riverton in girls and boys soccer in Casper. Girls got a late goal in the last 10 minutes of the match from Kylan Campbell and beat Riverton 1-0. Boys shut out the Wolverines 2-0. Douglas ended up getting a hat trick from Lauren Olson in a 7-1 win over Rollins. On the girls' side, they went to a shootout on the boys' side, and the Bearcats won the shootout 3-1 to win it 1-0 over Rollins. Plenty of soccer going on around the state today. You've got Laramie playing Sheridan, Cheyenne South playing Campbell County, Cheyenne Central playing Thunder Basin. Girls matches, you got Laramie South and Central all on the road, while the boys will be playing at home. And then coming up tomorrow, Kelly Walsh plays at Riverton. You've got East against Thunder Basin, Laramie against Campbell County, and South against Sheridan. And those last three, they will all be on the road. But Kelly Walsh, girls and boys, will be at Riverton coming up tomorrow. So that's what's happening on the pitch when it comes to soccer. Softball yesterday, Cheyenne East at Laramie got postponed because of the cool weather and field conditions in Laramie. And not a lot, and there's already been another doubleheader postponed today. That happened earlier in the week. So you've got Kelly Walsh in Natrona County heading southwest. Kelly Walsh will play at Rock Springs today at 3:30 and 5. Natrona County at Green River at 3:30 and 5. Then tomorrow, Kelly Walsh is at Green River at 11:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. Natrona is at Rock Springs on those same times. Legion baseball this weekend. The Laramie Rangers and Rock Springs Stallions go to the Cheyenne Icebreaker Tournament. Laramie will play the Cheyenne Hawks and Cheyenne Sixers in the first two games on Saturday, and then the Sixers and Hawks will play the Rock Springs in the third and fourth games. On Sunday, you got the Sixers against Rock Springs. Laramie will play Rock Springs, then Laramie against the Sixers, and then the Sixers and Hawks will actually square off in kind of an intra-squad or an intra-team battle there in Cheyenne. Mentioned high school track, two meets today, Cheyenne Central Invite and the Douglas Invitational postponed to Monday. Still have meets going on in Pine Bluff, Shoshone, and Green River today, Sheridan and Lovell coming up tomorrow. At the University of Wyoming, of course, the Laramie River Rendezvous Rodeo is in Laramie this weekend at the Cliff and Martha Hanson Livestock Teaching Arena. They've got performances at 6:30 tonight, 6:30 tomorrow, then 11 a.m. on Sunday. It's the last regular season rodeo in the Central Rocky Mountain region. University of Wyoming's in great position. Their men lead the region standings. Their women are second right now. Top two teams move on to CNF Park in Casper next month in June. And finally, good news for the Rockies, Glenn.
Yeah.
They didn't lose. Then again, they didn't win because they didn't play.
See,
yesterday.
now you just I was sitting here on that joke, waiting to go with it. And you just swiped it from me and got it to me. Wow. Okay.
You're
on the
ball.
ball.
On Thursday.
Yeah,
they were off yesterday. They start a 3-game series against the Mariners at home tonight at Coors Field.
All right. Thank you, Dave. No, I mean, honestly, that was the joke I was just sitting here waiting to tell, and you just took it. It's coming up on some local business news time after that. Let's Wake Up Wyoming.
Son.
Six the time. It's a Friday. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Glad you made it through the week. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Okay, full disclosure. Miss Mary went and took that's my producer for those who don't know, has taken some personal time off, and she had spent quite a while, several days, trying to switch the phone systems. So it doesn't go through her to me, but just directly to me, cold calls. Yeah, something didn't work. So I don't have phones today, but people are texting me, which you can do. Go to the Wake Up Wyoming app. If you don't have it, download it at your app store. It's free. Wake Up Wyoming. Hit the chat option and just send me text messages. So there's Paul in Fleming, Colorado, Chet and Yoder, Heidi, John is in Granite Canyon, Steve is in Casper, Dan is in Cheyenne, Blue Eyes in Douglas, Mark in Centennial, Milo in Fort Danger. I mean, on and on it goes. Just some of the people who are sending me notes while I'm on the air, which is one of the reasons we have that method.
Today's show was sponsored by Firefly Energy Drinks, made with real fireflies. It burns so good.
Yeah. But, you know, it will wake you up.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilet, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave.
One thing I've learned over the years of being in broadcasting, and just in general in media, is they have to be really careful out there, and they're often not, on how anybody, when I say anybody, markets something. You got to pick the right words. That's why oftentimes there's whole teams of people. Sometimes they overdo it, but they take a look at the language to make sure, are we using the right words? So, let me see. Oil City News. This will be up. I was wondering where this was. This is another Casper story. Second annual 420 hemp crawl. Today's the 19th. 420 is tomorrow. Yeah, so for those people who like 420, the date, well, that's tomorrow. So enjoy that. Do you really want to call it a hemp crawl? That doesn't really sound good. You know what I'm saying? That's got to be, no, for those, it gives people the wrong idea. A hemp crawl. Well, the same thing when they say like a bar crawl or a pub crawl or something like that. You're crawling from one to the next. Don't think that next year think of something else, okay? Just not that. All right, now, moving on from there. I noticed as I was looking at my notes this morning, I started realizing I have a whole bunch of stories here on just bad mayors. Like, for example, New Orleans. They want to cancel concealed carry for self-defense in bad neighborhoods. So who's going to be left with the guns? Just the bad guys who don't care about the laws. They want to cancel concealed carry in certain really bad neighborhoods because, you know, there's too many shootings going on. That means that only the criminals will have guns. All right, next one. Maine Democrats pass gun control that's already failing in California. And there's a mayor here who's trying to do that. In fact, I'll click on that story real quick. Let's see, Maine state Democrats and some mayors there, because I'm mainly focusing on mayors, have a passing in the House and Senate there. They passed a gun control measure in response to the October 25th, 2023 Livingston shooting, but the controls they passed would not have prevented the attack at all. And there's several cities around that are trying to pass the same thing. They responded to the shooting by passing what would be a point-of-sale background check, according to the Associated Press, and a 72-hour waiting period, none of which would have done anything to stop that shooting, because that's not where the guy got the gun from. So, all right, moving on. Just some bad mayors. D.C.'s Democrat mayor attended the Masters golf tournament on the taxpayer dime. Isn't it so nice when they take themselves to all this luxurious stuff here? Story says her public calendar noted that on Saturday, April 13th, the mayor will travel to Augusta, Georgia. As part of a sports and economic development visit, she said. That's the excuse. We're going to Augusta, Georgia, and we're going to go to the Masters because it's important research. They highlighted the fact that the tournament took place over 500 miles away from D.C. A spokesperson confirmed from D.C. News Now that the airline flights to and from Augusta, Georgia, were paid for by city funds, though the cost of flight was not released. But you better believe it was first class. News comes from residents of Washington, D.C. They've been suffering under burdensome crime, and it goes through all the problems in Washington, D.C. So let's go ahead to D.C., to the Masters tournament, because it's good for D.C.'s economic development. And, of course, I guarantee you, besides first-class flights on the way down, they put themselves up in some nice hotels, and ate at some nice restaurants, and, of course, treated themselves to going to the Masters tournament, all in the name of helping the public, using public money. All right. So glad they are there taking care of things. The L.A. mayor is asking wealthy people to fund housing for the homeless. Before I get into this, it's something I've been hearing for many years from homeless advocates. Well, if someone is homeless, then give them a house. Okay. Sounds like, that's it. They don't have a house, so you give them a house, we've solved the problem, right? Okay. But if you do that, even if it's a tiny house, I've seen micro homes being given to homeless people, and yet in no time at all, the place is completely trash, beyond livable. Wow. What happened there? Okay. There's a reason they're homeless, and you're not solving the reason. Just handing them a house is not solving what the problem is. All right, so the story says here, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass implored wealthy residents in the city to donate money and to purchase property that can be used for the city's homeless population, which is continuing to grow. Right now, she says we're working to move past monthly or even nightly rentals. We're asking the most fortunate Angelians to participate in this effort with personal, private sector, and philanthropic funds to help us acquire more properties and lower the cost of capital and speed up housing. The new program, she says, will depend on humanity and generosity of the private sector. Now, I am all in favor. Oh, by the way, she set a goal of moving 17,000 homeless people off the streets. And in fact, 21,000 people have already been moved into temporary shelters. That's a massive problem. That's bigger than some Wyoming towns that we have around here. Imagine that number. 21,000 people, 17,000 people. All right, so again, I'm all for the private sector. I don't do it through the government and the mayor, though. They don't know what they're doing. They honestly don't. And again, just giving somebody something, especially when they're homeless, doesn't solve the problem. The problem goes deeper than that. So you might even have to solve some psychological issues, but it goes deeper than just give them a house and we're good. It's a lot like when you look at someone who is completely broke and you go and give them $1 million and come back in a year and find out where they are, where they're completely broke again. What's the problem? You might think the problem is that they didn't have money, but that wasn't the problem. They didn't have money for a reason, and that's what you have to solve for. So wake up, Wyoming.
Sure, this show is sustainable. We sequester all gas emissions to one room. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods, live on AM 1030 and FM 95.1. Weekdays at 6.
8:20 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. If it sounds like I'm topic hopping, I am. There's a lot that I just want to get through before we get to the weekend. During the course of the week, a lot of news just kind of piles up. So I sweep it out so we get into the weekend and you can just forget about all this for a while. Morning, Greg. Greg is from Cheyenne. He just texted me this note on the Wake Up Wyoming app. I'm driving through a wind farm west of Cheyenne. It's foggy, 29 degrees. The blades are locked down and nothing is turning, of course. Well, gosh, I'm so glad that energy is there for us, especially in the wintertime. We get into the wintertime and it really gets cold, and we need that heat. I'm just checking here. West of Cheyenne, about the Medicine Bow. Nope. You have wind. No, I say, hang on, Fort Collins, Cheyenne. Okay, how far, Greg, you just say your wind farm west of Cheyenne. So is that the one that's around the Happy Jack area? Because I'm looking at an app that I go to called Windy, and it just shows what the wind's doing anywhere in the world. And there's some wind out there. Now, if you go more west of Laramie, there's just a dead zone right now. But if you're up in the Medicine Bow area and Hannah and all that, plenty of wind there should be turning those turbines. But sometimes, yeah, they do just lock them down. So what then? Where are we supposed to get that electricity? So I'm so glad we have reliable electricity in coal and natural gas. So when wind and solar is not working, and by the way, Greg, if there were solar farms out there, they're not getting a whole lot of light either. So your wind farms are not working and your solar panels are not working. Thank God for coal. All right, now, this is a story, just a quick little side note. Ladies and gentlemen, the Babylon Bee.
Wish we all could leave California now.
Probably the best parody song they have ever done to date. Wish we all could leave California. Based on the Beach Boys. Just a quick side story. This is a duo, you're a husband and wife, and she's a model, like a high-end model. They're leaving California. They're going to Nashville. Their reasons are the homeless crisis, the accelerated cost of living. This is what they say, not me. They're leaving California. The homeless crisis, the accelerated cost of living, taxable income, an unsafe environment for them and their kids are just a few reasons that they're driving clear across the country. They just can't take it anymore. Just more people saying that's just enough. Back to Greg real quick, who is on the road. Greg from Cheyenne, he says, the wind farm is just a few miles out of town between Auto Road and the interstate. Got it. Okay. So yeah, that's about where I thought you were. Greg is looking at a wind farm out there. It's just nothing's moving. And by the way, for those people who live around Cheyenne, south of Cheyenne, there's that big solar farm. Well, if it's all cloudy and foggy down there, what good is the solar farm doing right now? Yeah, exactly. All right. As long as we're talking about stuff like this, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to picture you're young, you're out on the town, you're in a dance club, and Greta Thunberg is singing to you. Big screen televisions with her angry face, staring down at you, accusatory. How dare you? Yeah, because you are out there with your big carbon footprint while she's trying to save the planet. How dare you? Scottish government ditches flagship climate change target as it accepts it's out of reach. This is the story. The Scottish government has ditched its flagship target of reaching greenhouse gas emissions, reducing them by 75% by 2030, realizing it's just not doable. The Minister of the Economy says net zero and energy announced that the whole thing as the government took a good look at it and realized that there's absolutely no way to achieve that goal realistically. And even then, why do you want to when you realize CO2 is necessary for life on the planet? We could use more of it, not less. The decision comes following the damning report from the Climate Change Committee last month, who said the targets in 2030 are beyond credible. Their words, not mine, beyond credible. They said it's a challenge of context of cuts in the UK backtracking as we accept and re-articulate what, okay. Basically, I'm going to cut through all the mumbo-jumbo. That is out of reach. We must act now to chart a course. Maybe 2045 is feasible? Scotland has missed 8 of its past 12 annual targets in cutting CO2. They're not the only ones. Other countries have as well. Anybody who's trying to cut emissions, none of them are reaching their goals. They said in order for Scotland to achieve its goal of cutting emissions by 75% by 2030, the rate of emission reduction in most sectors would need to increase by a factor of 9 up until the end of the decade. The Scottish government was the first in the world to declare a climate emergency, but now they're realizing we just can't achieve these goals. The government intends to triple the number of electric vehicles. That's not going to happen. Explore new natural irrigated ticketing system for public transports. Work with businesses to support the transition away from petrol and diesel. Take forward a pilot scheme with the number of farms and establishments. And Here's where their farmers are really upset with them, because farmers out there, just trying to grow food. You need food, Well, what are you going to do if you tell the farmers they can't run their tractors, or even just in general farming creates a lot of CO2 and methane emissions in order to make food, which is not a bad thing, but is being treated as a bad thing. Oh, here's I-80 John. Glenn, no wind this morning. It is the beginning. Is it the beginning of the apocalypse? Yes, it is. No, this is absolutely the beginning of the apocalypse. In fact, I did have this queued up earlier.
Oh my God, the world's going to end in 12 years. And the only thing you can do is vote for a Democrat.
Yeah. Okay. But then also, let me say, let's get to the climate here.
There you have it. A new level of crazy.
Yeah. And so, what was the other one? Oh, yeah. The climate love song. I played this because I love it. And then I get a lot of compliments and requests to play it again.
So put on your respirator and let's fix that generator. And while we're out, we'll mend our fences too. See, I'm not afraid of dying, just got reasons for surviving. I want one more day in the apocalypse with you.
Greg is sending me a note now. Meanwhile, the pump jacks are continuing to work, bringing up oil. Yeah. Well, again, so there's all that whole section of the southern Wyoming and parts of Colorado that have a lot of wind and solar, and they're not producing right now. So if your lights are on, if your heating is on, because it's a little cool down there right now, you can go ahead and thank natural gas and coal for providing you what essentially is keeping you alive right now. Coming up on some local news, after a local news update on your weather forecast, we have a nice long segment after that. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
Glenn Woods. He talks to you, not at you. Be part of the show at 888-97-WOODS. This is Wake Up Wyoming on K2 Radio.
8:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming Friday edition. So I just got done listening. While you were in that news and information break, I caught a quick clip of something where once again there's a panel discussion going on. And someone describes healthcare as a human right. A right is not a product or a service provided by government. A right is not a product or a service provided by government. A right is something that you're born with. It's a natural thing you're born with, and government is there to protect it, not provide anything. So healthcare is a responsibility, not a right. It's your responsibility to work to keep yourself healthy. Do you have a family? That's your responsibility too. Okay. Government's not handing out free health care. They shouldn't. Well, they do. They're not supposed to be. And for those people who argue the point with me, I like to throw out this question to them. Where's my free gun? Well, the Constitution says I have the right to bear arms. Therefore, if that's a right, and a right is a product and service provided by government, then I'm getting free guns. With ammunition, got to have ammunition, or it doesn't work. So where do I go to get my free gun and ammunition from the government? And the answer is I'm not going to get that, am I? Well, of course not. And the reason? Because that's not what a right is. A right is not a product or a service. People oftentimes confuse what words mean. Healthcare is your responsibility. I've heard people say housing is a right. Housing is not a right. Housing is your responsibility to yourself. That's what that is, your responsibility to yourself. Do you have a family? Then you're responsible to them too. All right, now, just so you know, I don't watch this show. This was on Dr. Phil. Headline is his jaw dropped when a guest used colonialism as justification for squatting in somebody's house. It says Dr. Phil spoke with property owners about squatters using legal loopholes to occupy properties. But one real estate agent argued it can be justified because of a history of colonialism in the United States. Wednesday's episode of Dr. Phil Primetime featured one guest named Christine, a real estate agent who doesn't think that it's immoral, but believes that people with no housing and dying from the elements outside is immoral. So according to the Legal Information Institute, it's a person in possession of the land. This is where the cities around the country started to really screw this up. Well, if you're in possession of it, it's yours. And that's what's allowed this recent rush for people to just go ahead and take over someone's house and squat. In her introduction on the show, Christine argued that there are multi-million-dollar projects and they're just abandoned. And she added that she believes the land of those abandoned projects can be reclaimed. Well, they should be, yeah, by people who want to do something with them, who have money. She also noted she was working with a client who is trying to occupy some property. That's around 300 to 500 acres. Quote, if something that's so large wouldn't even notice 2 acres out there. So since possession is what's at stake, if you possess it, it's yours. So, quote, you said that if you got 100 acres or 1,000 acres and somebody goes over and gets in a corner of it and possesses it, that I'm not going to miss it. I've got 1,000 acres anyway. Well, yeah, she said. Can you tell me if you're looking at 1,000 acres? Can you tell with the 5 acres? And Dr. Phil said, well, hell yes. The landlord named Tony argued with Christine about how she believes in the manner in which people inherit property. She said, we're not in 1776, we're in 2024, he said, sparking a wave of applause from the audience. Do you think that a corporation that makes over $1 billion every day is injured by someone taking 5 acres of land, she argued? The other guest quickly interjected, yes, somebody is. You can see this kind of conversation that we're back and forth this goes. This idea, and in fact I dealt with this with another article that I read from that unnamed liberal group here in Wyoming. They had an article up earlier this week. They were talking about Harrison Ford because cutting your property taxes in Wyoming, that means people that live in places like Jackson Hole, that have rich people in Jackson Hole, will get a property tax cut too, under the laws that are now on the books here in the state of Wyoming. And their argument was, well, why give Harrison Ford that money back? I mean, Harrison Ford doesn't need a handout. It is not a handout to let Harrison Ford keep the money that he earned. He earned it honestly. That's not a handout. It's perfectly okay to give him a tax break like everybody else. There seems to be this idea, well, you have so much and that's not fair. Did they earn it honestly? Then it's fair. Fire Pit Paul and Cheyenne. Right, let's get rid of colonialism for collectivism or communism. Who wants individualism? Well, and there's a good point, Paul. Let's get rid of colonialism for collectivism. Because in collectivism, see, in the current system, you can own something. It can be yours. But again, that's your responsibility. Owning a home is not a right. It is your responsibility to yourself. And if you have a family, then to your family too. Now, if you're looking at where you live and you think, well, this is just a dump. Why does that guy up the road get a big mansion and I get this little dump? Would you like a big mansion? You do what he did. And you can have that too. By the way, it's a lot of hard work. But as long as you do it honestly, it's okay. It's okay. It used to be, and this is something we need to get back to, it used to be in this country, that if somebody wasn't doing well, that they were embarrassed by it. Somebody who wasn't making a lot of money and was living really humble was embarrassed by that, and they were motivated to do better. And they were encouraged to do better. And when they did better and found themselves in nice circumstances, a nice bank account, a decent house, didn't have to be rich, they were congratulated. You were poor, but you worked yourself out of it, and look at where you are now. Congratulations. Pat on the back, good on you, all of that. And people would look up to those who became successful. I mean, really successful. Wow, look at how far that person made it. Now, that's just amazing that you did that. Congratulations. But there are some people who see it in an opposite way. Instead, they're admiring and trying to give all they can to the people who are not making it, and instead blaming the people who did. Those people who worked hard to become successful, they're the bad guys now? We've gone totally opposite here. We need to turn back around. If you're not doing well, even if you're homeless, then okay, no one should be picking on you, but we should be working with you to get yourself back up on your feet. And then it's your responsibility to get yourself in a good place. And when you do, congratulations. And that's what America is all about. You do not have a right to somebody else's stuff just because they have a lot of it. I'd like to know, give me a number. I did argue this one time on the air many years ago. Someone was trying to tell me that it's okay. This was new. People would get online and take music from musicians without paying for it, because being able to get music online was a new thing. And the argument I got was, well, these musicians are so rich, it's okay to take it from them. Really? Give me a number. How much money does somebody have to make before it's okay to steal from them? If that musician's not doing very well at all, it's not okay to steal from them. But if they start making a certain amount of money, it's okay to steal from them? What number is that? Give me a number. Is it when they make $100,000? $75,000? Do we wait until they make $1 million? 846, Wake Up Wyoming.
When you need to know quicker than the morning paper or the 5 o'clock news, you need Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods. Mornings on K2 Radio.
I'm so happy to be here. Yeah. I'm just happy to be here. Still I know the world's on fire, the situation's dire. A lot of work and courage gonna be required, but I'm just happy to be here.
8:49 is the time off. We go to talk to David Settle. Dave, just a slight personal, I don't mean to get too personal, but a personal question. How's that adulting working out for you?
It has its moments.
Okay. So wait. Does that mean moments when you do adult?
Yes.
Okay.
And when I don't adult, yes.
It's most of the time.
I mean, that's kind of my life, though. I mean,
yes.
I love sports, and so sometimes you got to be the adult. Sometimes you act like a kid.
Okay. As long as we're getting that out of the way. Now, speaking of kids, you have kids, right?
I do.
Can we just go ahead and just admit up front that when it comes to parenting, nobody knows what they're doing, and just for the love of God, let's not tell the kids.
Sure.
Okay, we're making this up as we go, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, because the kids continue to look at us like we know what we're doing. But
right.
at no time we're just looking at this going, well, I guess I do this and hope it works out. And hopefully, that's all we're really doing is hoping for the best, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that really is the bottom line.
Okay. And what's nice is the kids will not figure this out until you're dead.
Yeah, pretty close to it.
Yes, yeah.
And, well, because everybody, I think a lot of us have the same kind of thoughts about, I'm not ready to be a parent. What do I do when I'm a parent?
Right.
And then you're a parent, and it's like you got to figure it out.
You just got to go ahead. Yeah. So right now, your kids totally trust you. I feel so sorry for them.
Thank you very much, Glenn. Good morning, everybody. Hopefully your day is going well. The Central Rocky Mountain Region rodeo schedule wraps up this weekend right here in Laramie as the University of Wyoming will host the JCA Laramie River Rendezvous. today through Sunday inside the Cliff and Martha Hansen Livestock Teaching Arena, a little south and west of town on Highway 230. The rodeo action has performances at 6:30 tonight and 6:30 on Saturday night, and then 11 a.m. on Sunday. As stated, marks the conclusion of the regular season. It's one last time for cowboys and cowgirls to try and qualify for next month's College National Finals Rodeo, which will take place in Casper at the Fort Wyoming Center June 9th through the 15th. The University of Wyoming Cowboys and Cowgirls are actually in fantastic position because the top two teams automatically qualify as a team to the CNFR. The Cowboys lead the Central Rocky Mountain region standings. Then it's Gillette College and Casper College. Casper College is about 400 points behind Gillette, so they need a big weekend here in Laramie. On the women's side, Gillette is positioned first. They've got a pretty sizable lead over the University of Wyoming, who's second. And then Wyoming's got a nice little lead over LCCC, who is third. So it would take a huge weekend from LCCC to overtake the Wyoming Cowgirls. The Wyoming Cowgirl golf team wrapped up the Mount West Women's Golf Championships in Rancho Mirage, California on Thursday. They ended up in last place at 46 over par. Top finisher ended up being Morgan Ryan. She carded a 72 on Thursday and ended up tied for 22nd at 7 over par for the Cowgirl golf program. Cowboy football team is through 11 practices of spring drills. They'll have another one coming up tomorrow, and we're just over a week away. How are things going? Well, head coach Jay Savell continues to like the progress of the team.
Did a deep ball period today. I think there's some guys that made some plays in that. And that was good to see. Chris Durr made a couple really nice catches. I thought we put some good balls on him. A couple times defense made good plays on those good balls. So it was a good period. Just overall, the team itself, the effort level, the work that we're getting, really, really happy with. We had a couple little bangs here and there.
One bad note for the Cowboy football team, head coach Jay Savell did announce on Thursday that due to an injury, defensive tackle Caleb Robinson will miss the upcoming 2024 season. He'll have surgery in the coming weeks because of that injury sustained in practice on Thursday. Our Cody Tucker's got more on Cowboy football spring practice news at 7220sports.com and on the 7220sports.com app. And the Avalanche wrapped up the regular season last night with a home win over the Edmonton Oilers. They scored 4 goals in the first 10 minutes and beat them 5-1. They opened the playoffs Sunday at the Winnipeg Jets, and that's your sports this hour.
And the Rockies didn't lose.
That is correct, because they didn't play.
Yep, so hey, whatever it takes, Dave.
Yes, that's about all that they can say right now.
So coming up on some local business, we have to take care of news time, weather forecast. Let's wake up, Wyoming.
Sunday.
.06 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It's a Friday. Glad you made it. I know some of you felt like you're running a marathon all week long, and here you go to the end of the week. It's here now.
Today's show is sponsored by Junebug Berry Muffins. Are they berries? Are they June bugs? Are they either? Taste it. Find out.
Yeah, it's all an adventure. You just go right ahead and do that. So, we were talking. I'm just going to touch on this real quick here. Greg in Cheyenne says he was wrong. The wind turbines he was looking at are turning south of or west of Cheyenne. Just so slow, he didn't think they were turning at all. Now, for those people who keep thinking that, well, we got to build more of these things because they're good for the plant. I keep hearing them called clean, green, sustainable, reliable, affordable. They're none of those things. And let's take a look at what it costs in materials to build one.
To start with a wind turbine, you need about 30,000 tonnes of iron ore, about 30,000 tonnes of concrete. To make concrete, you need to get limestone and shale, cook it up. Limestone's got 44% carbon dioxide in it. That carbon dioxide goes into the atmosphere. You sinter it, and you grind it up, and you have cement. You then got to quarry stone to make the aggregate, to make your concrete. You then got to transport that 30,000 tonnes just for the foundation for one turbine. So you use a lot of concrete to make a wind turbine. You use a lot of steel to make a wind turbine. But then you get into the generator. Now, the generator uses rare earth element magnets. We used to have magnets made out of iron. We then found it a bit better to have an iron cobalt magnet. We now find that magnets made out of rare earth elements are much better. Rare earth elements mainly come from a part of China, Bayan Ulbul, and that rare earth element ore is quite rich in uranium and thorium. I've been to Bayan Ulbul. It is probably the greatest environmental disaster of the world.
He goes on and on like this. So it's toxic to create, toxic to dispose of, and really expensive. They're not cheap. They'll be done when the subsidies run out, and the subsidies are going to run out at some point. So nothing clean, green, affordable, reliable, or sustainable. All right, next topic. And what I'm doing, I do this every Friday. I house clean. There's all sorts of topics I want to get through before the end of the week. This stuff piled up in me. Headline, push begins to guarantee free speech on Ohio campuses. So, okay, hang on. We already have a guarantee of free speech. Why do they have to? All right, let's read the story. In 2022, Governor Mike DeWine signed a law that required each state college and university to adopt a policy that affirms the principles of free speech on college campi and establish a process that allows student groups and faculty members to file a complaint. An Ohio lawmaker believes the state's current policy and their climate there at the university creates a negative environment for some speech on college campi and wants to make sure the staff and students are protected. Again, they should already be. We have this thing, the Constitution, and in Ohio they have a state constitution. But all right. Representative Adam Holmes, Republican of Nashport, said the legislation prohibits colleges and universities from requiring support of specific ideas or political movements. It's becoming increasingly necessary, he says. I don't think it is. In Wyoming, for example, one of the reasons we have the gun rights that we do in Wyoming is people looked at not just our federal constitution, but our state constitution and said, your right to bear arms is already guaranteed in writing right here. It's something that government's supposed to protect. So we don't need laws and we don't need permits. It's already right here. It's in the Constitution. We're done. And the same should be for freedom of speech. You have it. You can go ahead and speak. And if somebody is infringing on all those rights, then they need to be dealt with. But, okay, they want to go ahead and write more laws here. To remain consistent with the fundamental American values and purpose of higher education, this is a quote, Ohio's higher education institution must be forums for expression, new ideas, and diverse opinions and expression experiences, he said. Holmes also said House Bill 349 protects students, employees, and job applicants by prohibiting public higher education institutions from requiring employees, students, or job applicants to support specific ideologies or political movements. This is something that has been a problem. Someone shows up for a job at a university, and they're asked specific questions about their ideology. And if they don't answer properly, they're not going to get the job. And the same thing goes for students attending, which it should not be for either a prerequisite, but okay. Providing specific protection for general discussion of political movements, ideologies, and social actions inside the classroom. Wow, imagine that. They want to make sure that if a discussion is going on in the classroom, somebody feels free to speak. Imagine that. At a university, this is exactly where this is supposed to happen, this free expression. Ensuring specific protection for free speech rights of public higher education employees, students, and job applicants, and allowing for public access to all higher education policy and instructional materials concerning political movements, ideology, or social action. So, okay, the House in Ohio and Senate is considering the bill. It narrowly passed the House Workforce and Higher Education Committee 8-7. The bill would also ban what it calls controversial beliefs or policies, including issues like climate change, electoral policies, foreign policy, immigration policy, marriage and abortion. The full House is yet to take up the bill. But, okay, we get back to one of these situations once again where did you really need to have a discussion like this in America? Because in my mind, I mean, it's pretty obvious. I'm an American. I'm a free person in America. I have certain opinions. And if I want to express them, I can go ahead and do it. And I shouldn't be worried about losing my job over something like that. Or if I'm at a college, if I'm a student at a university, I should feel free to express my opinions. And if people think that I'm just an idiot, well, let's have that discussion. Which is, by the way, what I do every day on the air here. The point of this radio program, and I'm the guy who designed the program, is I tell you what I think, and you and I discuss it. And it's okay if you disagree with me. I only have 2 rules. Don't be vulgar. Don't be a jerk. Other than that, we can talk about anything. It's where we go to explore ideas, not where we go to shut down ideas. And students have received bad grades, as you know, flunked courses because they didn't agree ideologically with the college professor. And that's something that they're trying to stop. Now, I don't mind at all any kind of legislation which clarifies things. To me, that's fine. But your right to free expression, free speech, is already guaranteed. So again, any kind of a law to clarify, this is what we mean by that, is fine. But remember, your right is already guaranteed because you're an American. Therefore, you can go ahead and live your life, believe what you want to believe, express yourself as you want. That is your right as an American citizen. Now, there's those people who hate the idea of somebody else speaking their mind. Well, you live in America, so deal with it. 9:15, wake up.
Download the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. Listen anywhere and chat live with Glenn during the show on AM 1030 K2 Radio.
9:21's the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Real quick again, Greg and Shane sending me a note here. He said earlier you were talking about rights and why doesn't the government provide me with a free gun? Now, for those who don't know the context, I was listening to a little piece where once again some young person was misunderstanding. Healthcare is a right. No, healthcare is not a right. A right is not a product or a service provided by the government. That's not what a right is. A house is not a right. Food is not a right. Those are your responsibilities to yourself. You need to go get those things for yourself. Government's job is to protect you so you can go ahead and do what you got to do. As long as what you're doing is legal, moral, go do what you got to do to get those things. Government's here to protect you, not provide for you. And for people who argue with me, my answer is, well, give me my free gun. The Second Amendment guarantees a right to bear arms. Therefore, government must be handing out free guns, right? They're not, though, are they? And the reason they're not is because a right is not a product or a service provided by the government. You have a right to bear arms. You want one? You need to go get one. That's your responsibility. Go get one. So Greg's worry, though, is imagine if government was handing out free guns. Imagine what a hunk of junk that would be. Frankly, Greg, I would be afraid to pull the trigger, honestly. If government was handing out free guns, you better believe they would just be garbage. If you want a good gun, you got to go to the private sector. This bit is old, but I'm going to play it again because I haven't played it in, I don't know how many years.
Did you hear? The government is giving away free guns. Yes,
free guns. Gun manufacturers around the nation will be mandated to give every citizen a free gun with ammunition. As you know, the U.S. Constitution states that you have a right to bear arms. And since we've been told that anything that is a right, like health care, is given to you by the government for free, then that must mean that soon you'll be able to pick up your free gun. And since free contraceptives are also a right, then that means you get free bullets, too. Yes, right now the U.S. government is borrowing money from China and future generations and raising taxes on the mega wealthy just to make sure that you get your free gun guaranteed under the Constitution. Because now, anything that's a right in this country is given to you for free. Healthcare's a right, and you have the right to bear arms. It's your right. Now that I'm into the gun file here, there's quite a few things I haven't played in a while.
So how many guns should a normal person have? About 5. That sounds like a gun enthusiast. No, gun enthusiasts have about 15. 15? That sounds like someone who's obsessed with guns. No, people who are obsessed with guns have hundreds. Now that sounds like a psycho. No, psychos seldom own guns, and if they do, it's 1 or 2. But 1 or 2 sound like a normal person. A normal person has about 5. We have already covered this.
See, we're just talking in circles at this point. Oh, let's not forget, I think probably the best, sometimes Hollywood accidentally, liberals in Hollywood accidentally make a point, and they don't realize that they've made a good point. If they did realize it, they would go back and get rid of that point. Let's go to Star Wars. Probably the best argument ever for why you do not have gun-free zones.
Since you are reluctant to provide us with the location of the rebel base, I have chosen to test this station's destructive power on your home planet of Alderaan.
No, Alderaan is peaceful. We have no weapons. You can't.
You will prefer another target?
See, now, Alderaan should have had some weapons. Maybe they could have actually stopped the Death Star if they'd had some, well, that's what happens when you're a gun-free zone.
Hi, folks. Daytona Dan Jackson here. And if you're anything like me, you live for this. You love the fresh air, you love the great outdoors, and you love to maximize your fish yield, which is why I use this, the Daytona Fish Gun. It's the best way to kill fish, bar none. Catching a fish with a stick and string is frustrating and dangerous. Hooks are sharp, tackle boxes are heavy, and worms are proven disease carriers. Even if you catch a fish, you gotta get it onto the boat and you gotta neutralize it. The whole process is time-consuming and inefficient. There's no worms. You just take the gun, point it down into your fishing hole, and fire away. Whether you're 80 or 8 years old, the Daytona turns fish in a lake into fish in a barrel. It also offers the features professionals demand. A high rate of firepower, 300 rounds per minute. No fish is safe from a Daytona. You know, some of you folks at home are probably saying to yourselves, I'd like to kill even more fish. Well, for that we have the Daytona Fish Grenade, designed to kill anything swimming within a 300-meter radius. Kill more, win more, and come home with a smile on your face and dinner in your cooler. The Daytona Fish Gun. A damn good fish gun.
Now, if only gun-free zone signs worked.
Give us some jewelry!
I would love to comply, but in the state of California, all of those firearms are illegal.
Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I did not mean to bring an illegal firearm into your home.
I knew this thing was way too military.
Oh my God, I had no idea.
As a California resident, I am super thankful you guys are only going to rob me with legal. Illegal. Hey baby, is the Glock Gen 4 on the California roster?
No.
Illegal.
It is so hard to be a law-abiding criminal in this state.
Law-abiding criminal. I mean, everybody needs to be accepted.
Really wanted to watch Netflix.
Cool. You're lucky I didn't kill you.
Okay, so this is a good one from Ricky's in Cheyenne. Good morning, Glenn. So I believe you have the right to life, which is guaranteed. You have the right to liberty, which are the constitutional amendments, and some of those even further, and the right to pursue happiness. What are you achieving? This is an awkward sentence here. What are you achieve? It is up to you, not the government. So which, do you mean which are you to achieve? Oh, it's up to you, not the government, to achieve these things. Okay. Government is here to, here's what government is supposed to do. From the libertarian perspective that you're listening to, you're supposed to have a government that protects the borders like it's not doing right now and keeps us in a bubble of freedom so we're safe. We have police and fire, same thing. Courts can settle our disputes and take care of the criminals. Sure, they can build some roads and bridges and stuff like that, but other than that, government's not actually supposed to do a whole lot more. The rest of it is up to you. Again, things that oftentimes people describe as a right. I have a right to a house, and housing is a right, and food is a right, and I have a right to health care. No, those are responsibilities. Your responsibilities to yourself, and if you have a family, to them. Coming up on local news update on your weather forecast. After that, you and I get back into it. Wake Up Wyoming.
100%.
Got something to say? Call 888-97-WOODS or chat with Glenn on the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app from K2 Radio.
.36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Fire Pit Paul and Cheyenne sends a note. A right is something which does not require the participation of others. And that's true. Yeah. We were talking about what rights are. And if you just joined us, health care is not a right. A house is not a right. Food is not a right. A right is not a product or a service provided by the government or others for that matter. A right is something that you have. Government's job is to protect you. Those things I just mentioned are your responsibilities to yourself. And if you have a family, kids, for example, well, then you're responsible for them too. But, yeah, those things are not guaranteed to you. You can go live in countries that give you all of those things for free. They suck, by the way. Everybody's in poverty and starving, and the government is oppressive. You know, North Korea. Places like that. Venezuela. China. All right. There are some studios closing down. After 20 years of production, the story says, movies pretty much that nobody wanted to see are shutting down, and a lot of jobs are being closed now because of this. And it turns out that these movies are social justice movies. Well, for example, Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth. The studio made these movies. Good Night and Good Luck, Waiting for Superman, Spotlight, Roma, Food Inc., North Country, American Gun, Fair Game. Have you ever heard of these? Just Mercy, excuse me. The Cove, Stillwater. These are, these and a whole lot of other titles over the decades were produced by one company, and they just kept dumping money into this company with the idea of, well, we're going to make a lot of money off of social justice issues. And none of those movies actually ever made any money. They all operated at a loss. The only reason the company continued to go was because people kept dumping money into the companies. That's not to say participant, the company, didn't deliver the occasional Bridge of Spies, Deepwater Horizon. Okay. But overall, though, even those that made a little bit of money, the company overall was just losing money. So it's important that when you make a good movie, and I've said this many times before, when you go ahead and make a good movie, do not try to be overly preachy in those movies. Make things that actually the public wants to see that are entertaining, which is why I said to football, when football players started taking a knee, don't. Just play football. There are times and places for discussion like this radio show. People go to shows like this to have that discussion. But there's times that people want to just relax and enjoy something. And so here was a movie house that was trying to create all sorts of movies with a social justice theme to it or a climate change theme, things like that. And some of these movies they keep trying to push on us, and none of them have ever made it. What was that movie, The Day After Tomorrow? Was that it? The movie where climate change suddenly happens like overnight, and the whole planet goes through all sorts of climate catastrophes, and it's all because of human beings and CO2 and garbage like that. And every so often I see that movie pop up on television again, but it really never gets watched. Yeah. So they just kept pushing and it just kept trying, and it's killing the industry. Disney is finding this out too. And several other companies that have made the mistake of, well, and that's why Bud Light had a problem. Hey, Budweiser, just sell beer. That's why I said the perfect Budweiser commercial, just a bunch of people having a good time, wherever they might be. Let's put them on a beach. They're on a beach. They're having a party. Don't virtue signal anything. Just a bunch of people having a good time on a beach. Then the beer arrives. Now they're having a great time. See, there's your commercial. And the same thing when it comes to really good movies. The movies that sell the best are the ones that are entertaining, because people don't go to a movie to be preached at. They go to a movie to be entertained because they've had a tough week and they want to stop for a while and want to relax and they want to be entertained. And when Hollywood, as leftists as they are, when they just focus on entertaining us, they're really good at it. There are actually some very talented people there that are extraordinarily good at entertaining us. But they keep trying to insert their point of view. This is why this movie company is just, you've never heard of them, and they're going out of business. And a lot of big names, like Al Gore has been part of this. A lot of big names just kept dumping money in, and it was just not working out for them. So when I said the name of the company, I bet you already forgot it. Yeah, okay, don't worry about it. When I mentioned most of those movies, I bet you never heard of those movies, and you probably already forgot the titles I gave you. Yeah, don't be surprised. Right. Well, again, there's a time and a place for everything. There's a time people show up, like when they turn on what used to be television news, but now it's talk television, or turn on a radio station like this. This is where they're looking for this kind of discourse. There's a time they want it. There's a time they don't. Even when you go to a bookstore, I go to a bookstore sometimes and I'm looking for titles of books on certain issues. There's other times can you just entertain me and not try to preach at me? I think some people confuse that business model. Let's Wake Up Wyoming.
Now, Glenn Woods fits in your pocket with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. This is AM 1030, K2 Radio.
.48's the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go back down to Laramie where David Settles waiting by. So our friend down the hallway from me here, Drew, decided to put together and ask some listeners what they do on Wyoming road trips. You know, what you take with you, right? I mean, kind of packing. Amanda says, snacks in a blanket because I'm freezing and everybody else is dying from heat stroke. Well, okay. Let me see. I like what Sheila says, money. Okay. A roll of TP just in case of emergency. Fine.
It's actually not a bad suggestion there.
Gum, water, energy drink. Well, that's going to take a lot of peeing, but okay. Let's see. Good working car. Sunflower seeds. Let's say jerky and energy drink. Okay. Let's see. Snacks, drink, and a blanket. A lot of just snacks and drinks. Oh, here's Walter, my 45. Oh, okay, fine. Nicotine, gum, and money.
Oh, yeah.
Here's another water bottle and 5-hour energy. Oh, mint Oreos and red Twizzlers. I'm driving with Don. That's good.
Mint, Oreo, and red Twizzlers?
Yeah,
Nice.
well, I mean, I don't think it's a good combination all, at once. But, okay. Let's see here.
Well, I'm not everybody is, but I am a Twizzlers fan.
Okay.
The mint, though, would help settle your stomach a little bit.
I'm sure. I'll go with that as an, because, okay, what you just said was mint Oreo cookies are a good, healthy thing to settle your stomach. I'm going with that.
Yeah,
that's
like
my
that.
excuse from now on. Mint is good for you.
Glad to help you out.
Okay. Let's see. Beef jerky, sure. Popcorn gets stuck in my teeth. Boiled eggs, okay.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Protein bars. There are some protein bars I really like.
I can see that.
Yeah. Carrots and vegetables and grapes. I hate riding along with the moms who bring the healthy foods.
Yeah.
Who the hell brings Greek yogurt is on the list? Who brings Greek yogurt on a road trip?
Well, hey, they're trying to stay healthy, which is more than I can say for most of us.
Yeah, okay. Bottled water, of course. Yeah, got to do that. Chewing gum. Let's see.
That's one of mine. I always like to have mint gum with me to help settle my stomach from the crappy stuff I eat on the road.
Oh, so, okay. Now I think we've already settled. You can't take it back. It's mint Oreo cookies.
Well, that's true.
That's what we're doing. Yeah.
All right, there you go. All right, thanks a lot, Glenn. Let's talk some high school sports. First of all, in soccer, yesterday, Natrona County swept Riverton in Casper. The girls' match, fifth-ranked Phillies beat Riverton 1-0. Kylan Campbell with a goal in the last 10 minutes of the match. On the boys' side, Natrona won 2-0. For the girls, the fifth-ranked Douglas in 3A beat Rollins 7-1. Lauren Olson had the hat trick for the Bearcats. Boys' match went to a shootout, and the Bearcats won it 3-1. There's plenty of soccer action going on today. These are the girls' games. You've got Laramie at Sheridan, Cheyenne South at Campbell County, Central at Thunder Basin. Coming up tomorrow in girls' action, top-ranked Kelly Walsh is at Riverton, East at Thunder Basin, Laramie at Campbell County, and South at Sheridan. For the boys' action today, Thunder Basin goes to Cheyenne Central, Sheridan's at Laramie, and South will host Campbell County. Tomorrow, Sheridan's at South, Campbell County at Laramie, Kelly Walsh goes to Riverton, Thunder Basin is at Cheyenne East. And, of course, you can catch up on all the soccer scores and on the scoreboard at wildpreps.com and on the Wild Preps app. 2 track meets today, the Cheyenne Central Invite and Douglas Invitational, both postponed to Monday. You do have track meets going on in Pine Bluffs, Green River, and Shoshone today, Lovell and Sheridan coming up tomorrow, involving some of the teams in the listening area. Softball, you've got Kelly Walsh at Rock Springs, Natrona at Green River today. Conference games are at 3:30 with the second game at about 5, and then Kelly Walsh at Green River tomorrow, Natrona at Rock Springs tomorrow. Laramie and East yesterday got postponed to next Tuesday. There is some Legion baseball possibly on the schedule this weekend. Cheyenne's hosting their icebreaker tournament. The Sixers and Hawks will play the Laramie Rangers and Rock Springs Stallions in round-robin games, and then they'll actually play each other. Full schedules on the Legion Baseball scoreboard at wildpreps.com and on the Wild Preps app. Don't forget Laramie River Rendezvous Rodeo for the Central Rocky Mountain region. We'll be here in Laramie tonight, Saturday, and Sunday at the Hanson Arena on Highway 230. And, yes, the Rockies did not lose yesterday because they didn't play. They open a 7-game homestand tonight with a 1-3 against the Seattle Mariners. First pitch at 6:40 down in Denver at Coors Field. And that right there is going to wrap up your sports this hour.
Okay, I'm getting some more suggestions here. Dirt Mom is way over in Riverton. Wish I had done that survey. Ours are beer, binoculars, guns, and snacks.
Beers, binoculars, guns, and snacks.
That's how
they must be doing a lot of hunting and fishing.
I would think so, yeah. Well Whisperer is over in Platte Rapids, Wyoming. Sandwiches, again, beer. The AR, and lots of ammo. See, that sounds more like a hunting trip than a road trip to me. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but maybe that's what their road trips are.
I guess they're going to go hunting somewhere. Or maybe you're road tripping, but you never know when a good road trip goes into good hunting. I just thought. Hey, thanks for filling in all this week. Appreciate it. Good to hear from you. It's Wake Up Wyoming.